Attention, your paradigm is about to shift at the intersection of fact and reason. You're entering Kingston Country.
I'm Dan Kingston, and you're listening to the Dan Kingston Podcast. Today's guest on the podcast is John Sullivan, running for U.S. House of Representatives in the 18th District of Pennsylvania in 2020 as a Republican. Thank you for joining the podcast today, John.
Thank you for having me.
Listen, something you wrote to me really got my attention. As far as we know, you're the first congressional candidate in U.S. history to be evicted. What has that been like for you, John?
Honestly, not the worst thing I've been through. I survived the polar vortex. I survived Martin Luther King Jr. Weekend, which was worse than the polar vortex. I was on the street at the time. So I've basically been running this campaign since October 29th.
Wait, John, you were on the street during a polar vortex?
Yep, it was a minus 26.
How can you survive that?
So I had this ex-girlfriend, Melissa Mercolini, and she actually gave me the equipment I needed to survive two winters in Pittsburgh. So thank her, God bless her, and she's probably the best thing that ever happened to me.
I mean, it sounds like what you've been going through is just horrible. It sounds like you've been homeless. How do you have time for politics when you're going through something like that, John?
Well, so I got to Pittsburgh back in December 2nd. And I ended up on the street by December 13th, Taylor Swift's birthday, which is so sunny. Anyway, actually, because of the one CD I had was Taylor Swift's Reputation at the time. Anyway, back to my story. So from December 13th until September 20th of next year, I was on the street. And then I got off the street. I was living in North Braddock from September 20th until October 28th. And then I actually...
But you're campaigning in freezing temperature, and I mean that's what you told me. And how can you focus on politics when it's freezing and you're just struggling to stay alive?
Well, I mean, it was basically all that I had. So, I mean, like I would literally just listen to the Hamilton soundtrack in the background while I was campaigning, and that kind of kept me going a little bit. So, Thank you, Lin-Manuel Miranda.
What about the Hamilton soundtrack inspired you?
Oh, just someone who came from nowhere who ended up being so successful, and if he could do it in the 18th century, I should be able to do it in the 21st century, right? Yeah.
Well, a lot of people say, they don't have time to be politically active and to follow what's going on. And how can anybody make that excuse when you're able to follow what's going on, given what you're going through? Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair, definitely.
So what's the biggest issue you're running on?
I'm trying to help to reinvigorate civics education in the United States.
Citizen education? Civics education. Got it. Yes. And what's the biggest point or thing about the civics education that you want Americans to understand?
Well, I think if people could know how to learn how to make the government work for them the way that it was designed, I think if people understood the way it was designed, how to use it to your advantage, how to use it to protect yourself when you need to be protected. I think the more people who know how to do that, the better off our country will be.
Yes, as do I. How are people able to support your campaign, John?
Well, I'm officially self-funding, but if somebody wanted to just send me money, I'm not asking for it, but if somebody wanted to, really the only way I can think of is person-to-person cash, to be honest, because I'm it's kind of a bare bones operation right now.
Yeah. What's the process like? How do you even become a candidate? If someone's listening and they're interested in running themselves, or say, hey, John can do it, why can't I?
Well, I mean, I guess you'd have to, sign up. Well, that's the thing. I kind of just announced on Twitter and I went from there. So officially now, I'm trying to get on the ballot and everything, but I don't have any ID right now, so it's kind of a little complicated. So I mean, right now, it's effectively a writing campaign, but I'm go from there, and hopefully hopefully it'll work out. Because I know it's a long shot. I mean, Mike Doyle has been in his seat since before I was born. So I was born in September of '95. He was born in. So sorry, he has been in Congress since January of '95. So
wow, you're a young man.
It's a long shot, but I mean it's worth it.
Well, we need fresh blood in there because that without term limits, the incumbents just get reelected again and again and again. How do you feel about term limits?
I tacitly support it, to be honest.
Yeah. Even if you were to become elected, let's say, it's a long shot, but let's say you get elected, would you still be for term limits, or would you want to be one of these guys that changes their mind once they get elected?
I mean, honestly, what I would want to do, I mean, it's possible that I want to run for the Senate when I'm old enough. Because I mean, right now I'm only 24, but I'll be 25 by the time the election comes. So I'm barely old enough to run. Kind of like Joe Biden when he was first elected to the Senate, he was 29, and he just happened to turn 30 before being inaugurated, which probably constitutionally you have to do. So Again, I tacitly support it. I mean, I haven't heard all the arguments for and against, so I don't have a formal opinion on it.
Yeah. It seems to me that term limits would be a great step forward, because then you have the politicians are listening to the people again, as opposed to the big, interests, the globalists and the elitists and the military-industrial complex that seem to control our government right now. It's horrible what's going on. But you're a big Trump supporter, right?
I support Trump. My second choice would be Tulsi, and my third choice would be Andrew Yang. Okay,
so you think outside of the box, which is what I love. You're not beholden to party necessarily. You're about principle, which is what I was talking about in the last episode.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, in 2008, well, originally I supported John Edwards, but after that I supported Barack Obama, although technically I was just following Bill Maher, so, that's probably why.
Got it. So you've left the Democrat Party. You've had a transformation in your views.
I was basically independent. My parents Catholic supported the Democratic Party, and I was just kind of bored into that. So my views used to being more left. But as time has gone on, I think the dynamic now is not really left and right. I think it's really more up and down. You have the bipartisan neoconservative establishment against the basically the populists and libertarians, who I do think should. I think Rand Paul is trying to basically. This is my personal opinion. It seems like he's trying to form like a populist libertarian alliance in order to go against the bipartisan neoconservative establishment. I think that's kind of what we need in the world we live in.
Yeah, we do. I just am so sick of those neocons and the neo-libs.
Yeah.
They've all come together, and they gave us Iraq. They want to give us Iran. They want to send more troops into Syria. They want to, support Saudi Arabia. Doesn't matter how many times they hit us with terrorists. We still need to be their ally. Yeah. It's crazy what's happening, and then you have impeachment, and obviously there's so much in the news. Listen, John Sullivan. You're a young man, and it sounds like you've been through so much. You've been through a lot of hardship, it sounds like.
I mean, I've probably been, other than maybe Ilhan Omar, I think I've probably been through the most, if I were to get elected. So, honestly, it's like, is what it is.
Like, you didn't come from a refugee camp. But
no, nothing like that. I was born in Vermont, so there's obviously a big difference between Vermont and Mogadishu. I fully understand that.
But well, you want to talk about the hardship that you faced a little bit? Maybe that would connect with potential voters.
Sure, definitely. What do you want to know?
Well, I think people are just, the heart goes out to you. Mine certainly does. You're a young man, and you've been living on the street, and now I think you're living with a friend. I think you're calling from a library, and yet you have a grasp of politics. And get this, you're running for Congress, and I think some people wonder, how can this happen? How can this happen to you?
Honestly, when I was younger, I was never really a big believer in Providence. I was basically an atheist until I was 15. Then I found Christ, and then I was baptized at 23 into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I was ordained to the Aaronic priesthood, which I value. And honestly, I am I'm a big. I'm sorry, what was the question? Oh yeah. So
Like
yeah,
how did you get where you
yeah.
are with the hardships that you're facing? How did you get here? Because it during the holidays and you're
Yeah.
homeless and it's tragic, honestly.
I mean, honestly, without Christ, I don't think it would have been possible. I think if he hadn't saved me on multiple occasions, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
That you
So,
feel blessed. I mean, you're saying that you
Yeah, I
feel
did.
blessed, but I think most people listening are saying, "Oh man, you're in a tough spot," but you don't feel that way. You feel like you're blessed.
Well, the thing is, I'm kind of like the good Lord's employee in a way, because like when you're a priest, you work for Christ, right? So I mean, he rewards you via the gift of the Holy Spirit. So that's kind of like that's more than enough for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So like he doesn't pay cash, but he pays in the Holy Spirit, which is more than worth it, more than enough.
Right, right. And are you looking for work right now, or do you have a job right now, or are you going to get
Yeah,
back
I'm
on
actually-
track?
Yeah. Sorry. I'm actually posting on Craigslist. I have basically the same photo from my Twitter page is also on Craigslist, trying to get a job, and
Well, maybe we could get you a job. Maybe somebody listening has a company or something, and they could get you employed. What are your skill set?
Yeah. Well, so basically, I don't really have that much experience, but so the problem is I kind of need someone that pays cash because I don't have any ID and I never had a social security number because I was kind of born off the grid.
Why is that?
So like I'm kind of in a difficult spot there.
But why?
Well, my parents were basically I'll explain, but there's a backstory to it. So I'm back in the '60s. My parents basically went off the grid, went to hippie lifestyle, and we're basically living that style for 30 years. And then I was born in '95. And my parents they were off the grid, so I was off the grid. So it's kind of like, and my parents then died in 2014, and I came to Pittsburgh 3 years later, and now
Did you
here I
say
am.
your parents passed away in 2014?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That's horrible. And so your parents passed away, and now you're off the grid, and you don't know how to get an ID when you don't have a social security. I imagine that's really hard to do, right?
Yeah, but also I'm kind of also promoting the Ninth Amendment Restoration Act, which basically would allow people in my position to sign a sworn affidavit to the effect that they are who they say they are, and if they violate that, if they end up lying, it's like 5 years in a mandatory minimum of like 5 years in prison, like a minimum security if they lie on that. So basically, there would be basically a way for people in my position to actually support that. It's called the Ninth Amendment Restoration Act.
Well, I mean, without that, what can you do?
Yeah.
Is there no alternative? Is there no recourse you can take?
Well, it's a very complicated process, and so basically, under the 14th Amendment, I have the right to run for public office because I'm a U.S. citizen. I was born in this country. The burden of proof is not on the individual; it is on the state. So unless they could prove that I wasn't, technically, I legally have the right to run, constitutionally speaking.
But it's harder when you're trying to get a job or a paycheck. It makes it more complicated.
It's harder, definitely, but anything's possible in Christ, right? Anything's possible in America. I happen to be lucky enough to be in both,
Yeah, totally. And it seems to me anybody talking to you for 5 minutes can tell, you're legit and your story adds up, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so where do we go from here?
When I first came to Pittsburgh, I was actually planning on running for Congress. I had come up with the idea back in like the fall. And I don't know if this has something to do with it, but I actually fell in love in the summer, and that may have influenced it.
You fell in love?
Yeah. with a girl, yeah.
And was she into politics?
She's actually, she writes for National Review, and she's on Fox News. Her name is Catherine Timms. So, long story.
And did you meet her in person or through the TV?
Nope. No, I saw her reaction to Charlottesville, and like for some reason, like it really just like touched my heart, and like I didn't realize I was in love with her until literally earlier this month. And like that kind of like looking at my life in the context of that kind of just makes it more, like everything kind of makes sense when looking at it in context. So like that's yeah. So I mean, yeah, I kind of fell in love with her. So.
But she doesn't know who you are.
Well, that's more debatable. It is possible she has read my tweets in the past because she has at least appeared to react to them in the past. Like, there was a time on the Greg Gutfeld show when she was like, for like, a certain period of time, like always be like, yeah, I would never date a homeless guy. And like, part of my Twitter is like, I used to have it used to say a priest without a rectory. It was sort of like a joke because I was on the street, right? So, I mean, like, she would always say that. And I was like, I don't know that she reads my tweets, but like, I don't know that she doesn't. I genuinely believe she does because, I don't know, it just seems like too many coincidences for me to think that she doesn't. You know what I mean?
Okay, well, what did she say in the Charlottesville coverage that spoke to your heart?
It was really more about the emotion of it than it was the actual words. It was just, she was just so, it just kind of like, she seemed like so hurt by it. That just, I mean, like.
Which part?
I mean, it wasn't specific. It was basically the entire thing as a thing. You know what I mean?
I see. Just that it was tearing the country apart.
It wasn't that. I don't know. I guess.
Well, let me ask you this, John Sullivan. Let me ask you. When Trump said there's good people on both sides, for me as a Trump supporter, that was probably the low point for me. And now we're at such a high point, so I'm glad about that. But I call balls and strikes. That took me aback. I think that was a mistake. I think that he has explained what he meant to say by that. What did you make when he said good people on both sides after Charlottesville?
So basically, my personal interpretation was that, he's, I don't believe that Trump is a racist. I don't believe that at all. But what I do believe is that he knows that a lot of his most loyal supporters happen to be racist. And he values
I don't know, John. I have to stop you right there. I don't know if that's true.
Maybe I'm exaggerating. Okay. I'm saying that there are racists who were basically ostracized by the Republican Party in the past who are now embracing Trump. What I think is a valid interpretation of what he said was that there are good people who support the statue and good people who support taking down the statue. I mean, for example, after two sorry.
Oh no, I'm agreeing with you. I see what you're saying.
Yes. So, after that shooting in South Carolina back in 2015, his reaction was that statues should go in museums. Now, you have people on Fox News being like, statues in museums, that's the equivalent of what the Taliban did. That's just fucking bullshit. I'm sorry, it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, if it's a historical monument, then it's looked at as a historical monument, then why are you going to tear it down?
Yeah, but I mean, in a museum, well, no, I'm not saying you should tear it down, but I mean, if it's in a museum where people are meant to learn about it, I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing. I mean, would you want a statue of Matulu Shakur in the middle of New York? I mean,
I'm sensitive to arguments on both sides, honestly. I mean, as a Jewish person, we don't believe in statues and idol worship or any of that kind of stuff. So there's that side to it of just like, I don't really believe in statues of humans at all, because that kind of puts them up to above a human. Like we're supposed to look up to them as if they're a god or something like that. At the same time, if this is in your public square and it's a statue, and it means a lot to you, I could see why you'd be upset by it being removed. So I guess I agree with what your point was, that Trump said there was good people calling for the statue to be removed and also calling for it to stay there. He wasn't saying there's good people on both sides in terms of the people saying, Jews will replace us. Hopefully he wasn't saying those were good people. I don't think he was. You agree with that assessment?
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so what's the best way that you can support your campaign? If you're self-funding, it sounds to me like you have to get a job, right? And you have to get some security for yourself so that you have resources to spend on your campaign. Is that fair? Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, so basically what I've been, I'm posting ads on Craigslist trying to, hopefully I'm going to see it. It's seeking employment, Pittsburgh, open parentheses, Oakland. So, And also, basically, if someone wants to follow me on Twitter, it's at real John Sullivan, 1L, because it's a 15-character limit. So if you go to @RealJohnSullivan, you will find. I'm shadow banned, so you're gonna have to type out the entire thing. So yeah, Twitter likes to shadow ban the homeless. That's fun.
They like to shadow ban everybody that has a brain. So,
on the right.
On the right.
Well, anybody on the right. Let's be fair.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Especially Trump supporters. John Sullivan, running for U.S. House of Representatives in the 18th District of Pennsylvania as a Republican. Thank you for joining the podcast today. John Sullivan, wish you the best.
Thank you for having me. You too.
Kingston Country. You've been listening to the Dan Kingston Podcast.